America, and in fact the Western world, had lived through the Great Depression. And what President Roosevelt wanted to do was to see if that recession and depression could have been forecast, if it could have been forecast, if it could have been dealt with in a different way. Because he spoke to the chief economist there, Edward Dewey, and they created the foundation for the study of cycles. And the key purpose was to see if these recessions and depressions could have been forecast. You know, that particular one, in 1929, if you go back 90 years to 1837, well, you go back to 1839, but 1837 to 1842, saw a 5-year decline in the markets. And that was all to do with the drying up of credit following the policies of Andrew Jackson. And what had happened was that in the Midwest, credit had become very cheap and easy. And there was a huge expansion around the Chicago area in the canals and also house building, home building, because, as I say, credit was cheap. So the idea was that the crops, particularly corn and wheat, soybeans weren't really about then, you were able to ship these into the Great Lakes and up the St. Lawrence Seaway and out into the rest of the world. That credit dried up very rapidly, and it created this massive boom and bust there from 1837 to 1842. And if you project that forward 90 years from that midpoint, that gave you 1929. And to be quite honest, you'd have had to have been on alert from 1927. If you take 1929 and add 90 years, 2019 was a key point to be aware for a potential crash or major turn. And that came in just 6 weeks later. It was 6 weeks in a 90-year cycle. Is something that's quite minimal, as it was well within the tolerance, and that's when we saw the pandemic sell-off.